Yeah, we in the championship. We down 3-1. Yeah. Champions of the United States.
Yo, YouTube, don't turn me down. Let me be great. Don't give me a copyright. People need to hear this. Greatest intro of all time. Turn me up. Turn me up, Cruz. This is better than that Dreams and Nightmares, man. Big Millie. Turn that shit back up, man. Turn me up, Cruz. That's enough. Welcome to the Catch Up Podcast End of the Year episode. This thing is official now. This is my 4th episode in, but I got this now, so it makes me official. I'm official. All right, y'all. So that was meant to be the original intro to this podcast episode, but during that week, I decided to postpone and let a couple more things trickle down towards the 2018, and boy, did they did. Birdbox. Everybody talk about that. I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit. But also, I was waiting for some more music drop. I was waiting on one last album, y'all, and I was waiting on this guy right here. I've been anticipating this guy, this man, this future legend right here. Listen. 21.
Yeah.
21.
Yeah.
21.
Yeah.
A lot. I'd rather not say. But I shot a couple folks. I did. But anyway, yeah. Rappers, y'all doing too much telling, man. Y'all telling too much. Shut up. But that reminds me, have y'all heard of this situation going on between the Migos and 2/5 of Bone Thugs and Harmony? I haven't heard from the other three. I've just heard from Lazy Bone and Busy Bone, who was up on IG Live with the shotgun that killed Ricky in Boys in the Hood. And I guess the police was watching, the IG police or whatever. The police showed up to his door and he quickly put that gun away. So rappers, stop telling on yourself. But anyway, so welcome to the 4th episode of the Catch Up Podcast. And boy, I've been trying to get this out for a good while now, between just procrastinating and everything else. I just haven't been able to get this out. I didn't want to wait to almost to the 1st to get this out. I really wanted to get this out maybe like the 2nd or 3rd week in December. But if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to talk about Birdbox. But so yeah. So let's go ahead and start off with Netflix, just to get a little of the pregame talk out the way, get myself to warm up before I get into the meat and potatoes. Netflix. All right, so I watched a couple things over the holidays on Netflix. Can you guess what? So let me start off with Birdbox. I thought this movie got way more press, good or bad, than it deserved. I watched the movie. I thought it was decent, but mediocre at best. As far as, the plot, I guess that was the whole big thing, was what was causing everybody to kill themselves, that during this whole movie you never saw. The best interpretation you probably got was when they let that guy inside, which is one of the many dumb decisions they made in this movie, as far as like the surviving group that was sticking together. He was in the house. He started drawing these pictures of what the creature kind of looked like. So that was the best really thing that told you what it looked like. But other than that, you didn't really see physically what was going on that everybody saw. Also, the beginning of the movie, the one scene in particular, which kind of made me chuckle a little bit, was the car scene where they had to blacken out all the mirrors and the windows, and they was going to the supermarket to get some supplies, and it was like, because I'm in my mind like, okay, how they gonna see where they going? And then they have a GPS. Okay, you have a GPS. What if something is in front of you or behind you? And because the plot demands it, the car has a proximity alert. But in real life, I don't think you would run up on a car that has that feature. But whatever. And of course, I would have to say that the movie did kind of does a good job of making, I guess, the viewer feel kind of hopeless or handicapped, being blindfolded the whole time or not being able to see. So I thought it did a good job of that. But other than that, all right, so I think I lost my audio because the battery is getting low. So let me go ahead and wrap this up here. So another part of the movie I found kind of funny was Sandra Bullock and her kids in the movie, and she didn't give them a name. It was just girl and boy. And if you played like the latest God of War, I immediately thought about it.
Boy, this way, boy. Slow down, boy. We do what we please, boy. Boy, look at me, boy. Inside, boy.
Other than that, the ending was cool. I felt like it was a solid ending to the movie. You still didn't see what was, making them go crazy or whatnot if you were exposed to it anyway. But yeah, I better not see a part 2 to this movie. If I see a Birdbox part 2, I'm gonna scream cash grab, #cash grab. So yeah, this is the only install that I need to see to this movie. So no Birdbox 2. Let's leave this in 2018 and let's see what Netflix has cooking up for us next year. Moving on. So another apocalyptic movie I watched was How It Ends, and the only reason I watched it was because Forrest Whitaker was in it. I thought that movie was good too. I just didn't like the ending. But other than that, I don't want to spoil it for y'all, so that's all I'll say on that. But what I really want to talk about was Sabrina the Teenage Witch. For all you 90s kids out there, 80 babies, 90s kids, you should know what Sabrina the Teenage Witch is. I know you watched it on Nickelodeon. Don't act like you didn't. And man, that version is dark. I binged the first season already, and I'll be tuning in to the second season. I like it, but it's a little dark from the Nickelodeon version. And as a God-fearing man, I am a little uncomfortable with all the Satan worshiping within this series. You'll hear a lot of praise Satan and all that stuff like that. So I was like, man, this is nothing like the Nickelodeon version, but I like it. But a whole lot more sex. As I said, it's darker, a lot of sexual content, a lot of devil worshiping, a lot of that. So if you're, if that doesn't bother you, go ahead and watch it. But I don't think this is the Sabrina Teenage Witch for your kids, so to say. But yeah, I like it, and I'll be tuning into season 2. But one more thing I want to throw in there, and this is for my black folks. I just watched Tales from the Hood too. It was trash. For those of you who watched it, it's pretty much follows the same formula from the first one. And I was mad that they didn't have old dude. I don't remember his name. I think it's Clarence something, the guy that plays the devil in the first one. So they could have put him in this one. But the guy that played him, he was cool too. But the stories were dumb as hell. And I don't care about spoiling this one because in the first story, it kind of takes from, with the dolls and stuff, the slave dolls or whatever. And then the first one, it was scary as hell. And this one, it was dumb when the white girl and the black girl, They go into this museum or whatever, and the white girl wants the doll. They break the doll out of the case, and then somehow the doll turns into this big teddy bear size looking thing and kills them. And I thought it was just hokey as hell. The only part I liked in the movie was towards the end where they kind of I guess told Emmett Till's story. So that's the only part I really liked about the movie. And of course, towards the end, you already know what happens. And, you know, I guess the main bad guy or whatever, he finds he is dead and he is in hell. So it kind of follows the same formula as the first one, but I thought it was trash. But if you want to get a good laugh, go watch it. But it's not good, in my opinion. All right, so now that we got the Netflix talk out the way, let's get into the meat and potatoes. This is a music podcast, so let's talk about some music, shall we? My main thing tonight is going to be my top 10 albums of the year of 2018. So I'll get into that, as well as some top moments that happened this year. Jacquees, we will be addressing you, sir. Come to the podium. Stand before the congregation, as Charlemagne would say. But also some things that I'm looking forward to in 2019 as far as albums that I'm anticipating for next year. But before I get into that, let me finish up on Mr. Savage here. So I wanted to give a little spotlight on him. I'm gonna do a little mini review of his album that just came out. I can't put him on my top 10 list. Maybe when I do this again next year, if it stands the test of time, he might be on my list, but he put it out like on the 21st, which is way too late. So my cutoff period was at the end of November. So, but with that being said, yeah, I thought this was a pretty good project. I was definitely anticipating it. I like Izza, his last album. Nothing New was probably my favorite track on there, and that's what kind of changed my mind about 21. Because at first I wasn't feeling him at all. You know, the guy that couldn't freestyle.
Hey man, I got my car washed up, put up on a motherfucking rock, then I put.
But I think out of that whole little group of the little Uzi Verts and who else was on that freshman list? Kodak Black, Ugly God, and those are the only three I really remember. Everybody else was kind of a blur, but I think out of that group, he's the one that's kind of shining right now. And the one that I like the most anyway, out of that, I guess you could say mumble rap or whatever. But yeah, last year when he dropped Izza, he kind of surprised me. My favorite track on there was Nothing New. I like that introspective 21, that storytelling 21. That's the 21 I like. I kind of overlook all the, vulgar lyrics and try to look past that. But I think 21 does have things to talk about. And if y'all didn't know, 21 also speaks to the kids. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 M's in my bank account. He teaching them how to count, y'all. Y'all need to listen. A, B, C, D, E, F, G wagon. Y'all niggas doing that big capping. Teaching the ABCs. He's even a career advisor, y'all. She skates so fast to the D that she need to go and get a job at Sonic. Come on, y'all. Y'all ain't listening. But anyway, yeah. Y'all better listen to 21, man. He trying to tell y'all something. But anyway, I am going off a tangent. Let's talk about the album I Am Greater Than I Was. That's the name of this album. I thought it was a good project. I still like Izza a little bit better. But then again, I probably I gotta listen to it a little bit more. It's just as of right now. I felt like Izza, like that album, I felt like as far as a listening experience, I felt like the whole album was pretty good. I feel like with this album, the second half is better than the first. The first half is okay. You gotta listen to it a couple times, but I don't think the album really gets good until All My Friends, which features shoot, I can't remember his name. Y'all know who I talk about. I ain't got time to remember right now. But if you listen to the album, you already know what I'm talking about. After All My Friends, Post Malone finally came to me. Old person moment. After that track, that's when the album really started getting good to me. And but other than that, some of my favorite tracks on there was the first track that I played, y'all, which was A Lot, features J. Cole. And J. Cole's been doing a lot of features this year. But I like that one. Also, what was that other song? The song where he whispers is ASMR. I don't know what it stands for. What, how I go? All my niggas right. And another night, my brother down the road, they almost gave him life. I swear he's so creative. Toothbrush to a knife, something like that. But yeah, I like that song. I don't know what's up with this whisper flow he does, but I like it though. That song, I said All My Friends already. A Letter to My Mama, I like that one. That introspective 21 that I like. I felt like I didn't get a lot of that on this album. I know in the beginning of the album he talked about his brother got life and one of his brothers died. So that was really about it. I really have to listen to it some more and dive deep into the lyrics. Only problem is it's so much. God, it's so vulgar though. It kind of bothers me sometimes. You just need to clean up just a little bit, man. But other than that, I like the album. All right, y'all. So let's get into these top moments of 2018. Y'all know why I'm playing this song, right? She's so bad. Hold on, let it ride for a second. In my eyes. See you last night. Saw you standing there. Couldn't picture the color of your hair. And all I wanted to know, were you really there? Turn it off. Don't copyright me, Keith. Please. Keith. That's how the ladies say it. But yeah, I got to start off with Mr. Jacquees. Is this not the man of the year? I'm like, everybody is talking about this guy for the wrong reasons, of course. At first, I was cool with it. He said he is the king of R&B this generation, whatever that is, whatever R&B there is. Let him claim it. And then he had the nerve to step to Keith.
Originally the king. No. You were originally the king. So are you passing down the torch?
This the king from back then. I'm the king for right now. This Keith Sweat, Big Sweat. But it's
Let's talk about it, nigga. The nerve of you to fucking speak his name. You not like him. And you not like me.
Keith, man. You don't step to Keith like that. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with this man? He's just a little too cocky. And then he been doing everybody covers and stuff like that. I think he's been putting out a cover dang near every day for a song. At this point, he's trolling. But I mean, I don't care, man. There is no R&B. In my opinion, there is no R&B. Now, I could argue there is a queen of R&B. There are a lot of female that are kind of doing it. As far as like her, Ella Mai, among others. But right now, it's on the male side. I don't really think there's anybody that's really doing it as far as R&B is concerned. But yeah, man, Jacquees has got to, he got to go somewhere, man. This man ain't even, well, I think he did put out an album. I really didn't bother to listen to it. But yeah, I don't know, man. Just leave Keith alone. I need you to step back. Step back. Okay. All right. So now that we got the king of R&B out the way, let's talk about some more top moments of 2018. This is going to be quick take fashion, so I'm not going to stay on it too long. Y'all pretty much know the story behind all these if you're keeping up anyway. So next top moment, Drake versus Pusha T. Was it really beef? If it was, I would say Pusha T probably won that. I think Drake did have like the better song. I think the only thing Pusha T had going for him was that you were hiding a child. That's the only thing really. It was just that surprise factor. And it was real direct. But not to mention it kind of messed it kind of put a little chink in the armor of Drake. He shanked him a little bit with that one. But Drake is still pretty much the number one artist, period. So I guess overall, Drake is still eating his good, and that's pretty much it. So but other than that, Drake, Pusha T, there was a real entertaining moment in 2018. Another entertaining moment, Kanye versus everybody. Kanye started out this year with the MAGA hat, supporting Trump, to backtracking. They were using me. And at this point, I don't know where to go with Kanye. I did not listen to his album at all. I think it was Yay. I think it was just called Yay or something like that. The last album I listened to was The Life of Pablo. And that's probably going to be the last album I ever listened to of Kanye until he gets his act together, because it's seeping into the music right now. And I gotta leave Kanye alone. So that's pretty much it on Kanye. Another top moment that caught my eye was Meek Mill is finally free. That whole situation was weird. Essentially, he went to jail for popping willies. And he had this crooked judge who was black, by the way. That's kind of crazy. So, he's finally out, and he's doing good. The album that he dropped is definitely on my top 10 list. So expect to see that on there. I'm giving out all these spoilers. But I really enjoyed his album. With the whole rebrand, I guess you could say, with the prison reform and all that stuff. I'm glad to see, Meek Mill, doing his thing, and he seems to be maturing. All right, so for my final top moment of the year, I would have to go with Joyner Lucas and Tory Lanez, that short-lived beef. It wasn't really beef. It was more friendly competition. And only thing that kind of annoyed me, and I guess Tory he kept doing this on purpose, like in his interviews of, the Joyner kid. I'm like, Joyner's like my age. I think Joyner's like 31, 32 or something like that. And Tory, I know Tory is at least in his 20s. I'm like, why does he keep calling him kid? But anyway, so they both dropped their diss tracks towards each other. Tory did too, and Joyner did too. Only thing that kind of confused me is, as far as like the original rules were, pick a beat and we both gonna rap on the same beat, and the people decide who wins. And it got kind of confusing because Tory came out the gate doing Lucky You. I guess that was kind of him just showing that he can rap or whatever. And then Joyner came behind him and did the Liddy freestyle. And then after that, Tory came again and did the Liddy freestyle. So do we count that as the first round since they did it on the same beat? I don't know. And then regardless, Joyner came with the ZZ freestyle, and I think that's where he messed up. Because that beat wasn't hitting at all. That island, nah. I wasn't feeling that at all. But as far as the song was still, the song was good. I just didn't like the beat. So I think, even though it kind of hurts me to say this a little bit because I'm more of a Joyner fan than Tory fan, I kind of have to give it to Tory. I think he looked better in this competition, so to say. even though I thought Joyner Lucas with that Liddy freestyle, I thought he killed him with the hairline, punchline or whatever. But yeah. So speaking objectively, I would have to give it to Tory. But yeah, but I think Joyner's still a better lyricist than Tory Lanez is, but that's neither here nor there. And then Tory Lanez then proceeded to challenge everybody else. He went after Pusha T, and then he went after Royster 5'9". I don't think he wanted that one, and you see how he backed out of that. But anyway, yeah. So that's pretty much it on the top moments. So let's go ahead and get to the main event here. This is going to be my top 10 albums of 2018. Let's get into it. All right. So before I get into my top 10, I'm going to do some R&B mentions, seeing as there's hardly any R&B on this list, even though I named it top 10 albums. I say top 10 hip hop albums. Okay, so like I said, don't listen to much R&B, new R&B anyway. I'm more of a neo soul guy, and just the current R&B landscape is just kind of dead to me, to be honest. But these are some people that I did listen to. Neo with Saturn. I really like that album. If y'all haven't heard of her, she's from the UK, real unique voice. Became a fan of hers from her last album. Also, LMA with LMA. I thought with this album, I thought it was just a solid album. I already did my review on my singing channel, JHopSing23, shameless plug. But yeah, and I felt like the album was just okay. It was there. I felt like the hype was greater than what she had put out. I felt like it could have been a better, a better showing for her, for all the hype from Booed Up and everything like that. That song was massive, and I thought the album would have been, a pretty good album, but it was just okay. I really didn't go back to it. I listened to it like the first week. I haven't really been back to it since. Another one I listened to was Trey Songz. See, I think he came out with like 2 mixtapes, and I thought that was a pretty solid project as well. It was better than that Tremaine that came out. I think that was the last album he put out was Tremaine. I didn't like that at all. The last album I liked was Trigger. That's my album right there. I love Trigger. And Alina Baraz, the chick that did the Urban Floor. And this album, I can't remember the name on it right now, but it will be up on the screen. I listened to that as well. So that's another person that I've been listening to. But like I said earlier about the whole King of R&B thing, do you realize that most of my picks were female? So I think as far as like on the R&B scene, I think females are doing more than the men are. I'm not really listening to any male R&B artists at the moment. Any new ones anyway. But as you know, I did leave a specific person off here, and he will be on the top 10 list, and that is my boy Six Lack. I said Six Lack. Black, spelled Six Lack. He will be on the list. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into my top 10 albums of 2018. Let's start off with some honorable mentions. I actually have 5. My first honorable mention will be Cardi B, Invasion of Privacy. And this was interesting for me because I really didn't know what to expect from her. And I think with this album, I thought the album was pretty solid, and it showed Cardi B could produce an album and not just be a single artist. So it's a couple tracks that I like on here. So I definitely enjoyed Cardi B, Invasion of Privacy more than Nicki Minaj. Sorry, Nicki. But another one, my second honorable mention is Logic, Bobby Tarantino 2. Now, the reason I didn't put him on the top 10 is because he came out with this and Young Sinatra 4 earlier this year. And I said I didn't want to put two projects by the same artist on here. So whichever one I feel is better is going on the top 10. And the one I feel I like least is I'll put in the honorable mention. So that tells you that Young Sinatra 4 will be in the top 10. But yeah. Not second, but my third honorable mention is Kamikaze by Eminem. Eminem is, I still consider him one of my top artists, top hip hop artists, but just with the album that he put out last year, Revival, didn't like it. Maybe a couple songs here and there, but just overall the production, I was not a fan of it. And it's probably his weakest project to date, to be honest. And he came back this year with Kamikaze, and I think it was a good comeback for him. It was a good rebound album, but at the same time, I only really like 3 tracks on here, so I couldn't just put it on my top 10. Of course, I like Lucky You with Joyner Lucas. I think the first track was The Ringer, and the track on there with Royce the 5'9", Not Alike. Those are the only 3 songs that I really liked on the album, so I really couldn't give it a place on the top 10. Sorry, Em. And then my next honorable mention is a guy that I just started listening to. I found this guy off of Joe Budden podcast when they play their sleepers. This is Mark Steele. It's been a minute. And I listened to the album, and I'll say it's a pretty solid album. I think y'all should give it a listen if y'all looking for somebody new to listen to. But I'm going to be looking more into him. That's Mark Steele. It's been a minute. And my final honorable mention, Drake, Scorpion.
The nerve of you to fucking speak his name. You not like him. What kind of man are you?
Let me start off by saying that my criteria, it's not really a hard criteria here. It's more based off listening experience or replayability. And even though I like mostly side B of Drake, not side B, that's the singing side, side A. And I don't even like really all of side A. And then B, I just totally threw that away. And when you look at just the number of songs that are on the album, that's too many skips to put on a top 10. So I had to leave Drake off the top 10 list and just put him as an honorable mention. But I did like basically the first half of Scorpion. But to be honest with y'all, I like Views better than this album. And that probably should say something. But anyway, so let's go ahead and get into my top 10 here. So coming in at number 10, this was more of a last minute thing here because I was doing a lot of crunching before I put this list together, trying to go over the albums that I listened to this year. And I was trying to get to this album, but I couldn't. And it's Nipsey Hussle, Victory Lap. I just started listening to this like a month or so ago, and I thought that was a pretty good album. I would probably say I like the first half more than the latter half of the album. But just with this album right here, from the intro, I'll probably say to the Blue Laces track, which is like 7 tracks in, this goes hard. So I had to put Nipsey in there down at the bottom at number 10 here. All right, so coming in another 9, another West Coast artist going by the name of Reason, new TDE artist, and I think he's gonna become one of my favorites going into 2019. And this album was called There You Have It. From what I understand, is something that he had already put out, but once he got on TDE, they re-released it. So I'm not exactly sure how old this album is as far as when he first started recording it. But as far as my first time hearing it, I loved it. And only thing I put it down like at the bottom of the list because I felt like the second half was stronger than the first half. And my favorite song that y'all should probably go out y'all way to listen to is Colored Dreams. And I like the way he structures that song, and he's basically telling, you know, the story from perspective of the guy that's in jail. And he's writing a letter apologizing to everybody. At the end of the song, you know, he hangs himself. So I thought that was pretty crazy. But yeah, go check that out. I definitely think he's going to be a contender going into next year. All right, so at number 8, I chose the Black Panther album, Mr. Kendrick Lamar and Company. I thought for a soundtrack album, I thought that was pretty good. I've never really just gone out my way to listen to a soundtrack album, but when you got Kendrick Lamar on it, you got to listen to it. I think with this album right here, I thought you got enough of Kendrick, but I kind of like how he let some of the new guys shine as well. So, but I say probably there are a couple skippable tracks with this album, but throughout the album, I pretty much liked it. So, but the only thing with this, like I said, replayability and just how many times did I come back to it? I haven't really came back to this album a lot of times. So that's one reason why I kind of put it in the lower half of this list. So number 7, I'm on number 7, right? All right, so coming in at number 7, I'm on 7, right? Lil Wayne, The Carter 5, which took forever to come out. It was starting to get into that detox territory. But it finally came out. Lil Wayne got over his, you know, his legal battle with Birdman and all that stuff. I thought the album was solid, but it wasn't spectacular for how long we had to wait. But yeah, like with the other albums I've listed before, I think the first half of the album is probably the best part. Of course, Mona Lisa, best song on the album. I love that song. Other than that, yeah, I just feel like some of these songs were kind of there for Lil Wayne, Carter 5. But if y'all want me to go more in detail, I already have that review up as well. So go check that out. I have a full review up for the Carter 5 as well. Number 6, getting on up there. Royce. So coming at number 6, guys, Royce the 5'9", Book of Ryan. I think out of all these albums, this probably has the most storytelling in it, bar none. I really don't think anybody can touch Royce as far as the storytelling is concerned. Maybe Kendrick and Cole. That's all I can really think about right now. But other than that, this dude is pretty good on the storytelling side of things. This album right here is real personal. Talked about a lot about abuse from his father, and also his father's drug habits, and him going to rehab, and him being afraid that he's going to be like his father. And there's this skit in the album where he's talking to his son, and y'all just have to go listen to it. I think it's done wonderfully. But yeah, definitely go check that out. Going into my top half here, number 5. Let me make sure I got this right. Like I said, I rewrote this list a lot of times. Number 5 is Logic, Young Sinatra 4. I felt like this album was a little bit, just for my listening, I felt I enjoyed it a little bit more than Bobby Tarantino 2, because I like that jazzy boom bap type rap. And there was a lot of it in this album. Of course, I didn't, enjoy some of the more poppy stuff like Ordinary Day and One Day. He could have left that off completely. But for the most part, I enjoy like the latter half of the album, going from Young Sinatra 4 freestyle all the way down to Legacy, Iconic. The Street Dreams 2 is definitely one of my favorites on there as well. But the first half was just okay. You can listen to it, but it's just okay. But yeah, that's going to do it for Logic. Going into number 4 would have to be Mr. Six Lack. Black, but spelled like Six Lack. Eastern Land. All right, so coming in at number 4 is Mr. Six Lack. Black, but spelled like Six Lack. East Atlanta Love Letter. I enjoyed just about this whole album. I think it's maybe like 1 or 2 skips on here for me. But it's just something about this man flow, even though he's I guess you can say melancholy, nonchalant, monotone at times. This man flow is just crazy, and it's hard to put him inside a box because I mean he is R&B, but at the same time it's like he's singing but he's rapping at the same time. But I definitely enjoyed just about this whole album. So I had to put it up there. Number 3, Meek Mill, Championships. And I really didn't have that much time to listen to this and put it in my ranking, but he came like right at the tail end of November. I think it was like November 30th he came out. So I almost didn't put this on my list because I said anything that comes like after December, I'm not putting on here. But yeah, I had enough time to listen to Meek Mill, and this album just, I think it had a variety of storytelling, some club hits. Only problem I had with this album was, I think it could have been condensed down some tracks at the end. They're okay, but I could have did without them. That Splash song, that they could have took that off completely. That's the only song I really hate on there. But yeah, the latter half was just okay. I think this could have been condensed down to maybe like 13, 14 tracks, and this would have been the perfect album. But yeah, definitely too many tracks on here for me. But like the samples he used on here were great, from the Mary J. Blige to the Biggie sample to the Beyonce sample on here as well. I like this song with him and Ella. That's one of my favorite songs on there. But yeah, I think the only thing that hurt this album was it was just too many tracks, and I felt like it was some throwaways towards the end. But yeah, Meek Mill, I think this is his best album to date, though. I'll say that. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get into number 2. Mr. Jermaine Cole. J. Cole? Jermaine Cole. KOD. So with KOD, I say no skips on here at all. I like this whole album. I guess the only thing, if I had to be objective and say a con of this, even though it was a theme of the album, I felt like, with the whole drug use, and I felt like it could have been perceived as a little preachy. Even though that was his whole point on, teaching about the dangers of drug use. And one of my favorite songs on here will probably have to be the interlude, basically where he's telling about how his mom would come home drunk at night and how he would have to, I guess you can say look after her or, be there for her in, that time of need. That's probably my favorite song on there. But this whole album, I pretty much like it. A great storytelling as well from J. Cole. But other than that, that's pretty much it on this album. I just felt like it was kind of just, as far as listening experience is concerned, every song is good to me, but I just felt like it really didn't, change up as far as like production or how the song was structured. I felt like it was kind of just, you have to be kind of in a mood to listen to a J. Cole album. But yeah, so with that being said, let's go ahead and get to number 1, which was J-Roc, Redemption. And the reason I had to put this at number one, because it's just, man, J-Roc really surprised me this year. Of course, J-Roc has never really been a favorite of mine in TDE, but this album right here, I mean, just from track 1 on down, I feel like the only track on here that I really wasn't into was, I think it's called Broke. That's the only song that I'm not too into. But other than that, this whole album, I like it. And but like I said, it was just that surprise factor for me. I really wasn't expecting J-Roc to come out like that. I've never really liked the J-Roc album or anything like that. But even though, Kendrick wasn't on here this year, I'm pretty sure if Kendrick came out with something this year, I would have put him on this list. I probably would have put him at number 1 because I have a bias for Kendrick. But TDE takes number 1 at the end of the day. So yeah, I'm gonna be looking forward to what he has next. But yeah, that whole album right there, man, I gotta give it to J-Roc. He really surprised me. I think y'all should give it a listen. Win is probably the song of the year. Also OSOM, Out of Sight, Out of Mind, Out of Sight, Out of Mind, which also features none other than J. Cole. So yeah, J. Cole just been everywhere this year. Those are probably my 2 favorite, and also The Bloodiest, which is the intro track of this album. Those are probably my favorite 3 songs on there. But the reason I really chose it over J. Cole, because I felt like Redemption had more of a upbeat vibe to it, as well as those moments where he was trying to tell you a story as well. So I think it, it had, the songs that got you in a good mood and the songs that kind of made you think at the same time. So I thought it had a good mix to it as far as the album is concerned. And also kind of like how he, told his story about how he was involved in a motorcycle crash, and he used all his money towards hospital bills and almost getting back into the drug game and all that stuff like that. So I didn't even know that happened to J-Roc. I thought he was just chilling somewhere. But yeah. So with that being said, I think that's gonna do it for me. Those are my top 10 albums of 2018. All right, guys. So getting into the final segment of the night here. Wow. I can't believe I made it this far. Y'all don't know how many times I've done retakes after retake after retake. I'm finally here. Thank God. Okay, final segment of the night. What I look forward towards to in 2019. I just got off J-Roc, but I would have to say just TDE, period. From what I've heard, Kendrick Lamar is supposed to be coming out with something this year, even though he's denying it right now. But sources point toward him having something out this year. And if I were to take a guess, he dropped in April last time, so I would say he's going to drop around the same time this year if I were a betting man. Also, Schoolboy Q is supposed to come out. I know he postponed his album, so I'm looking forward to him. Isaiah Rashad, I think it's about time for him to drop something as well. Reason, I'm pretty sure he's going to be coming out with another project, and I definitely have my eye on him. I believe J. Cole is supposed to drop The Fall Off. I think that's his next title. It's his next album, I mean. I think he alluded to it in the outro track to in KOD. So I think J. Cole's supposed to be coming out with something this year, maybe. Next year. Other people I'm looking forward to, Logic. He need to go ahead and drop that Ultra 85. So I think this is I see this as kind of one of his main albums. This stuff he's been dropping, it's kind of like side stuff with the Bobby Tarantino and Young Sinatra 4. Those are really mixtape titles, to be honest. So I don't really count those as albums. But I really think with this album, as long as he stays away from the I'm black, I'm white, I'm white, I'm black, I'm black, I'm white, I'm white. If he stays away from that and tones down on the pop stuff, I'll be cool. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Last thing here. All right, so last but not least, Joyner Lucas, ADHD. I'm really looking forward to that album. And he became independent I think that was last week, maybe. He announced he was going independent. He's going to be putting his album out as an independent, and he's off Atlantic, which I really didn't think they were doing anything with him anyway. But if you ask me, this is me. I just think it's kind of funny. He's been doing all the feature with Eminem. He's supposed to be coming out with, I guess, another Stand type song with Eminem. I think it's a good chance he might sign with Shady, but I don't know. He said he wants to be independent, so we'll see. I don't think signing to Shady is just gonna make his, make him blow up or anything like that. If you look at like the track record, who has really came off Shady and really blown up, with the exception of 50 Cent. Maybe Obi Trice and D12 put out one album, but everything else, nothing. So I don't think signing with Shady is going to be the miracle that he needs. But I think, Joyner already has, he has a pretty solid fan base. And, if he keeps putting out, those videos like, I'm not racist. What was the other one? Frozen. I'm sorry. Videos like that. Because I think he got that. He has the YouTube on lock. So I think if he just keeps moving in that trajectory, keep putting out this thought-provoking material. Because he stands out in that area as far as like the storytelling and things like that, as well. As far as his rapping ability, that's good too. But other than that, yeah, I'm looking to see what Joyner will do in 2019. I don't think I left anything off this list. Weekend. I'll throw him in there. I know he put out that EP a little bit earlier this year, but I want to see what that album sounds like. I definitely like Starboy, his last project, but I think he's going back to that more darker tone Weekend. So I'm gonna be checking out for that as well. But yeah, that's it, guys. I think I've gone almost an hour, if I'm not mistaken. By the time I chop this up, it might come in about 30 to 45 minutes. We'll see. But this is definitely be the longest podcast I've done so far. And wow, this has been a process. So if you're still here with me, I thank you for joining me. I will see you guys next time in 2019. See y'all next year. Peace out. Deuces.